and welcome tonight. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, takes her case against the Senate to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Geneva, Switzerland. Economic Community of West African State activates its standby force to curb terrorism and other trans-border crimes in the sub-region. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, orders the demolition of all houses on the right-of-way of the ongoing road project in Kishiri community in Katakwe district in the nation's capital, Abuja. And three men have been killed in Moscow region in what is described as the largest drone attack on Russian capital since the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's energy group, Oando, emerges as preferred bidder for a lease of Guaracara refining company in Trinidad as it plans expansion across the Caribbean region.
On sports news tonight, Super Eagles head coach Eric Shell cuts down his provisional squad to 23 for this month's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against Rwanda and Zimbabwe.
From the nation's capital, President of the West African Network of National Academies of Science, Professor Yoale Tomari, urges NCDC to prioritize research and disease prevention. We begin tonight with the latest move by the senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who has now reported her recent suspension from the Nigerian Senate to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the IPU, which is an international organization of national parliaments with the primary purpose of promoting democratic governance, accountability, and cooperation. Well, the lawmaker has told the IPU that she is seeking justice on the matter. According to her, the Senate's action is illegal and indicative of the challenges women face in Nigeria. The Senate suspended Akpoti-Uduaghan last week, accusing her of violating its rules just days after she submitted a petition against the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio.
I am not here to bring shame to our country. I'm here to seek help for the women of Nigeria. Again, my name is Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. 5 days ago, on the 6th of March 2025, I was suspended. As a senator, I was suspended illegally because I submitted a petition of sexual harassment against the President of the Nigerian Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio. I thought that by submitting the petition, he would recuse himself, and both of us will submit ourselves to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petition for a fair and transparent investigation. But unfortunately, I was silenced and I was suspended. I was suspended for 6 months, amongst many other stringent conditions, such as taking away my security, taking away all the officials, vehicles, and other items that were handed over to me as a senator. My salaries will be cut off. I must not appear anywhere near the National Assembly. And for 6 months, I'm not to introduce myself or present myself as a senator locally in Nigeria or internationally. That means I'm here illegally, but I have no other place to go but to come here and speak to you women. Because this is a bigger picture. This is a bigger picture. It depicts the crisis of women political representation. My suspension is not just about me. It's about the systemic exclusion of women from political leadership in Nigeria. Women make up 3.6% of political offices. And in the Senate, it's just 2.8. We have 109 men, and only 4 of us are women. So right now, it's 108 with only 3 women. This is a clear case of political victimization, punishment for speaking out against impunity, corruption, and gender-based violence. the United Nations Declaration 48-104 declares sexual harassment as a form of gender violence. The Senate's actions are an assault on democracy. I was elected by my constituents to represent them, yet a few powerful men have unilaterally decided to silence their voices by suspending me for 6 months. My call for an open and transparent investigation into harassment allegations have been met with hostility instead of accountability. If a female senator can be treated this way in the full view of the world, imagine what ordinary Nigerian women will go through every day in workplaces, in universities, and other aspects of our society. A culture of harassment and silencing must end. And this is not just a Nigerian issue, it's a global one. Women in politics, media, and businesses face threats, intimidation, and violence for simply demanding fairness. From sex for grades scandals in universities to harassment in workplaces and political spaces, Nigerian women have constantly been forced into silence. We need stronger legal protections and a zero culture tolerance for gender-based discrimination and intimidation. My call to the international community is such that the world must not stay silent as democracy and women's rights are rolled back in Nigeria. I call on human rights organizations, women movements, and democratic institutions to hold the Nigerian Senate accountable. Nigeria needs global partners to push for women's political inclusion, safety, and protection from political harassment. You may ask, what are my next steps? I will resist the political intimidation. In the past few days, a number of my colleagues, my male colleagues, have reached out to me and said, Natasha, all you need to do is apologize and retract your statements. And I told them I am not going to apologize. I will not apologize for my truth. That I will stand the 6-month suspension, and the very first day I return, I will represent my petition on sexual harassment. And I will continue doing so until there is a fair and transparent investigation. I will fight this injustice and continue to represent my constituents, whether the Senate wants to hear me or not. I will work with women's groups, civil society, and legal teams to ensure that this unconstitutional suspension is quashed. This is bigger than me. This is about ensuring that no other woman in politics or public office will ever be silenced again. Thank you so much.
We turn our attention now to security matters, as the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has activated its standby force to curb terrorism and other transporter crimes in the sub-region. The Minister of Defense, Mr. Mohamed Badaru, disclosed this at the 43rd Ordinary Meeting of ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff in Abuja. According to him, the economic growth of the region is dependent on peace.
Fostering and entrenching a secured environment for the safety and well-being of all persons is the focus of the 43rd Ordinary Meeting of the ECOWAS Committee of Chiefs of Defense Staff holding in Abuja. The need to address the various security threats through effective collaboration dominates discussion.
The complexity of the security landscape demands that we leverage our collective expertise, intelligence assets, and coordinate our efforts towards borders if we must solve these challenges, as the world has become a global village and the gap between us shrinking even more. Thus, collaboration is paramount and imperative to address both the root causes and symptoms of insecurity in our region.
This conference, no doubt, represents a significant opportunity for us to come together, share experiences, to address the complex security challenges facing our sub-region.
Despite the formation of the Alliance of Sahelian States, the Economic Community of West African States is keeping its doors open for a possible reunion.
ECOWAS still has its doors open to welcome back our brothers and sisters from the three countries that have recently withdrawn from our community. And in this regard, ECOWAS authority of heads of state are directed, that despite the withdrawal, ECOWAS must maintain the free movement of people and goods and the right of settlement and establishment to all citizens of our community.
The new and emerging security threats bedeviling the sub-region also comes to the fore as the bloc announces plans to activate the ECOWAS standby force.
By leveraging our collective expertise, resources and commitment, we can make a tangible impact on fostering peace, stability and prosperity in the sub-region. In this regard, I am pleased to highlight the activation of the ECOWAS standby force to combat terrorism in the sub-region. The activation of this force underscores our collective determination to confront the scourge of terrorism with regards to insecurity and ensure the safety and security of our citizens.
The three-day meeting, which continued behind closed doors, will, amongst other issues, address the proposed view of pledges for the ECOWAS standby force, consideration of pledges for the counter-terrorist brigade, and maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea.
There's a call by the Minister of Police Affairs, Mr. Ibrahim Gaidam. It is about partnership and technical support for the Nigeria Police from the European Union to enable the force achieve its target of deploying global norms and best practices. The minister made the call during a meeting with the European team led by the head of the delegation to Nigeria in Abuja. According to him, addressing policy gaps in capacity building is important to creating a strong police force in Nigeria.
We would greatly appreciate your partnership in this important endeavor. The European Union has been at the forefront of supporting regional security initiatives, including the West African Police Information System. This initiative, supported by Interpol, has significantly enhanced the ability of law enforcement agencies across West Africa to share critical police information electronically. By improving coordination, West African Police Information System has played a vital role in combating transnational crimes such as drug trafficking, human smuggling, and terrorism threats that continue to challenge our national security. Since July 2015, the European Union and ECOWAS have remained committed to ensuring the full rollout of YPs across all ECOWAS countries and Mauritania. Under the 11th European Development Fund, funding was made available for this initiative beginning in November 2017. Although initially designed for a 55-month period, we are grateful that the program has been extended and is now expected to conclude by May 2025.
What you are seeing right now on your screen is an accident involving a tanker and a vehicle that has exploded under the Otedola bridge at the Lagos end of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The fire affected nearby structure, including a church, residential house, and mechanics parks at the Otedola underbridge adjacent the CMD road. Fire rescue teams are currently at the scene working to extinguish the fire and mitigate the situation. Movement in or out of Otedola underbridge resulting in a complete blockade of the area had been restricted for a while. A severely burnt individual laid prone close to the fire as another person was whisked away by an ambulance. Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, says that it has activated a multi-responder plan to the incident involving the overturned tanker conveying gas and the resultant fire, and that all hands are on deck to extinguish the flames. In part two, after the break, President Bola Tinubu advises Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State to toe the path of peace and stoop to conquer. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, takes her case against the Senate to the Inter-Parliamentary Union. Economic Community of West African State activates its standby force to curb terrorism and other trans-border crimes in the sub-region. Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, ordered the demolition of all houses on the right-of-way of the ongoing road project in Gishiri community in Katakwe district in the nation's capital. And 3 men have been killed in Moscow region in what has been described as the largest drone attack on the Russian capital since the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine. Following a motion of urgent public importance, the House has passed a resolution calling for the suspension of the increase of ATM transaction charges and the stoppage of free ATM withdrawals from customers from other banks in Nigeria. The motion, moved by Honorable Marcus Sonobo, draws the attention of the House to a circular by the central bank to that effect, while lawmakers are worried that this will impose additional financial burden on Nigerians. Our correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
It's a new week in the National Assembly as lawmakers convene for the first plenary session. The CBN directive to commercial banks on the increase in ATM transaction charges and stoppage of free ATM withdrawals for customers from other banks is tabled as a matter of urgent public importance.
Worried that the imposition of additional ATM withdrawal charges will further limit the financial inclusion of Nigerians by discouraging low-income earners from accessing bank services, thereby contradicting the CBN financial inclusion agenda.
The motion is adopted, and the House turns its attention to the killing of 17 soldiers on the 14th of March 2024 in Okwama community in Ughelli, Delta State.
Concerned that since the unfortunate event happened, the perpetrators of the crime have not been arrested, thereby sending a wrong signal, especially in the light of many reports in the press last year, where the Chief of Defense Staff claimed that the military knows the perpetrators of this heinous act. The House is also concerned that several innocent citizens, indigenous of the community, including the President General of the community, Professor Arthur Ekpokpo, Chief Honorable Bervis Adogo, Mr. Dennis Amaka, Ms. Wema Mabel, and Pa James Uworo, who died in custody, among others, were detained and have since been in detention.
The House urges the Nigerian Army to release the investigative report from the incident and release the detained members of the community or charge them to court. The House also wants the Army to rebuild the homes destroyed by its men. In the meantime, a motion to block websites hosting pornographic contents received mixed reactions when it was put to vote.
Those in support of this motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. Amendment, Mr. Speaker. I will put the question again. Those in support of this motion should say aye. Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
Meanwhile, the House has received the report of the Finance Committee on the tax reform bills following the conclusion of its public hearings. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
From the House of Representatives to Judiciary Matters now, the Supreme Court has dismissed the appeal by the People's Democratic Party and its candidate in the last governorship election in Ondo State, Mr. Agbola Ajayi, challenging the competence of the joint ticket of Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa and his running mate in that election, Mr. Olaide Adelami. In the judgment, a 5-member panel presided over by Justice Mohammed Garba was unanimous in holding that the appeal was without merit and that the appellants lacked the local standard to query Mr. Adelami's nomination. Of peace and stoop to conquer. Well, that's the advice coming from President Bola Tinubu to Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State as he wades in to resolve the ongoing crisis in Rivers State. The president, who gave this advice while meeting with leaders of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, at the State House in Abuja, says the Supreme Court judgment must be obeyed as Nigeria is a country of rule and law. Well, he encouraged the leaders to go back and ensure the recommendations are implemented as soon as possible.
We reach an agreement, written agreement. Both parties signed. Some leaders thought the governor of Rivers State was wrong to have signed, but they didn't implement. Where do we find ourselves today? So this is a nation of rule of law. I should not be here as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria if there's no rule of law. I have total confidence in our judiciary. Expectations. Human beings can make errors. But when we say Supreme Court is spoken, that's it. Please go back home and help him implement those recommendations within the shortest possible time. I put the ball back in your court. Help him. Was privately, openly, intervened, counseled the governor. Only yesterday I told him again. Pursue the path of peace. And stood to conquer and not become perishable.
To infrastructure now, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has ordered the demolition of all houses on the right-of-way on the ongoing road project in Gishiri community of Katampe district in the nation's capital, Abuja, while some residents who tried to resist the demolition were dispersed with tear gas by security operatives. Our correspondent, Kobi Abuluwadi, reports.
This is Gishiri community in the Katampe district of the nation's capital, and the road construction is ongoing within the area to link other districts. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, is here to inspect the level of work on the project. However, things take a different turn of events as the visibly furious minister orders an immediate demolition of houses on the right-of-way of the ongoing road project. Some residents who tried to resist the demolition were dispersed. While addressing journalists at the scene, the minister explained the reason for his action.
We have given them enough time. I'm not going to say because of few people, government will not do their work. No. We've given them more than 2-3 months. And nobody, I cannot fold my hands and say, okay, then let it just stop. No, we won't do that. Even the money for compensation have been given. But they said they will not accept. And which means the job will not go on. And we will not allow that. We'll not allow that.
So how do you intend to take it up from here, apart from the demolition, because these residents have to move to another area?
Well, that has to do with the data of the settlement there, so let them go back to them and work it out what they're going. But if they don't want, it's their business.
On the flip side, a resident of the community gives an account of the disagreement.
FCDFC have not actually given a site for relocation. You cannot give person money to go in Abuja. You don't own any land, except government give it to you. So if they give you money to build a house, on which land are you going to build the house?
So what are you asking for now?
We are asking that the minister should hold on with the demolition until the area for the relocation is ready.
Flagged off in October 2024, this road is expected to be completed by May 2025 and commissioned as part of President Tinubu's second year in office. Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
We head over to Abuja studios now, where Millicent Walker is standing by to take us through more stories on the news at 10. Hello, Millicent.
Hi, Anne. Many thanks. We begin with health. The president of the West African Network of National Academies of Science, Professor Oyewale Tomori, says the Nigeria Center for Disease Control should prioritize research and disease prevention other than control. He made the remarks at the inaugural National Summit on Diagnostics in Abuja. Speaking further, Professor Tomori advised the federal government to establish a proper laboratory network across the country that can be sustained with the requisite manpower and equipment instead of setting up several labs. He also lauded President Tinubu's administration for the prompt response to the Trump aid freeze. Still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's energy group, Oando, emerges preferred bidder for the lease of Gurakara Refining Company in Trinidad as it plans expansion across the Caribbean. That's on Business News. To join us again. The news at 10 coming to you live from our Abuja studios. Let's head to Kaduna State, where the governor, Uba Sani, has officially flagged off the construction of a state-of-the-art bus rapid transit BRT system for interstate transportation. Speaking at the inauguration of the 30 billion naira project, Governor Sani emphasized that the BRT system, along with a modern bus terminal, will provide safer and more reliable travel options, ease traffic congestion, and enhance road safety.
Kaduna State, a key transit hub between the north, Abuja, and the south, faces growing transportation and security challenges due to heavy traffic. To address this, Governor Uba Sani's administration has launched the bus rapid transit system to improve travel efficiency and safety. The project was officially flagged off in Kakuri, Kaduna South, with the governor joined by the French ambassador to Nigeria and other dignitaries.
This project, Kaduna Bus Rapid Transit Project, represents a tremendous opportunity to enhance mobility, reduce traffic congestion, create jobs, and improve the overall quality of life of our citizens. We are excited about the potential of this project, and we are fully committed to ensuring its successful implementation.
The Kaduna Bus Rapid Transit BRT project, the first of its kind in northern Nigeria and second only to Lagos, is set to transform transportation in the state. Spanning a 24-kilometer dedicated corridor from Kawo Bridge to Sabon-Tasha, the project includes modern bus stations and shelters. The French ambassador to Nigeria and the Minister of Transportation's representative have hailed the project as a game-changer for Kaduna's transit system.
The project has started, but there is still a long way to go. But with your leadership, Excellency, and your support, which I know is determined, I am convinced that this will be a true success story. Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I must commend you for choosing a BRT system.
This project will no doubt facilitate the realization of the renewed hope agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, which prioritizes transportation as enabler of economic growth and gateway to the nation's economy.
Governor Uba Sani highlights the strategic importance of a well-functioning transport system, stating that the bus rapid transit and terminal project will ease both intercity and interstate travel.
The KBRT, which is first of its kind in northern Nigeria and second in Nigeria, marks a significant milestone in our commitment to enhancing public transportation, fostering sustainable urban development, and improving the quality of life of our citizens. The southern terminal will provide a modern, organized, and safe environment for travelers and commercial activities. By consolidating the various motor parks into the centralized location, we aim to streamline operations and reduce congestion, improve accessibility, enhance safety and security for everyone. the depot.
After delivering his speech, Governor Obasani officially inaugurated the construction of the BRT project. Governor Obasani also performed the groundbreaking for the Interstate Southern Bus Terminal, designed to unify motor parks from Stadium Roundabouts to Sabontasha. The launch of the Kaduna Bus Rapid Transit and Terminal project marks the start of a state-of-the-art transport system. Once completed, it will enhance travel efficiency and offer commuters a top-tier bus transport experience.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Millicent. As women are still being celebrated across the world, Wema Bank PLC is also championing women's inclusion and growth. At the bank's International Women's Day celebration, that commitment is reinforced by initiatives designed to uplift and empower.
It's the year Wema Bank PLC turns 80, and that makes this year's International Women's Day even more special. Wema Bank has been empowering women since 1945, and at the helm of this celebration is the first female chairman of the bank.
The theme, Accelerate Action, reminds us that we cannot afford to be slow or passive. My career is a testament to the impact that can be generated and the change that can be achieved when individuals and corporations like Wema Bank take decisive steps to accelerate action for women empowerment.
The message is clear. Wema Bank is all in for women, and as the CEO steps forward, he reaffirms this commitment.
A lot has changed in the last decades, but one thing has remained constant in our commitment to inclusion, empowerment, and support for women. This is why we launched our women-focused proposition, Sarah by Wema, in 2019. Our goal with Sarah is to cater specifically to women's needs, delivering customized solutions, creating useful opportunities, and providing practical resources to help women thrive personally and professionally.
Abike, Chidima, Amina, if I did not see you for who you truly are, would you ever see yourself? Would you recognize a woman in the mirror? A woman in tune with herself, her beauty, her poise, her femininity? Would you? Your beauty is ugly because he said, they said, maybe you even said it.
From leadership to innovation, the conversation continues with an all-female panel discussing how technology is reshaping finance for women.
The conversations are getting different and the actions are getting louder.
Celebration meets recognition as the He for She award winners are honored.
Thank you so much.
Men who stood as allies for women empowerment received plaques as recognition for their support. And then, a moment of pride to end the celebration. The Big Sister graduation, the culmination of an 8-week journey of mentorship, self-discovery, and growth.
Right. Left.
The government of Imo State has signed a memorandum of understanding with the U.S. Market Access Center, a leading Silicon Valley-based startup accelerator, to invest $15 million in establishing business startups, innovation hubs, and driving digital transformation across the state. At the signing ceremony, which took place at the Government House in Owerri, the state capital, the governor emphasized this strategic partnership aligns with his administration's commitment to advancing digital industrialization. Our correspondent in Imo State, Akpoti-Uduaghan, reports.
The Uzodinma-led administration has prioritized digital capacity building through the Scale Up Imo project, equipping youths with advanced digital skills to compete globally. With a target of empowering 300,000 young people over the next 5 years, the initiative has laid the groundwork for the Imo Digital City, a hub for tech training and startups. In a major step towards digital transformation, the Imo State government has signed an MOU with the U.S. Market Access Center, USMAC, a leading Silicon Valley startup accelerator, to drive innovation and entrepreneurship in the state.
Those of you who are aware of Silicon Valley in the United States, the center of digital innovation, we are here to create startups, produce founders, business owners, trademarks and patents as a way of empowering our people. So I'm very glad and happy that the leadership of US Bank are physically present here to sign this agreement. I'm happy that our dreams are being realized. Imo State government is committed to supporting this agreement towards the realization of our dreams for the betterment of our people and the good of mankind.
The managing director of U.S. Market Access Center, Chris Berry, is enthusiastic about the partnership as he highlights its potentials to drive innovation and entrepreneurship in Imo State.
Our goal is to create a next generation of world-class startup founders here in Imo, because we have unbelievably high expectations of them. Our belief is that these people can create companies with new, innovative solutions that can not just solve the problems that are present here, but that are present across all of Nigeria, West Africa, all of Africa, and honestly, the world.
Governor Hope Uzodinma is confident that the partnership will link Imo's tech ecosystem to global markets, attract foreign investments, and foster innovative startups.
What we are trying to do is to move Imo State from the analog economy to the digital economy, which is what is in vogue all over the world now. And the meaning of that is that startups, people will come from not only the whole Southeast region, Nigeria and outside Nigeria, since it is going to be the hub for Africa.
The governor strongly believes that the partnership is poised to transform Imo's digital landscape, empowering a new wave of entrepreneurs to drive innovation and economic growth in the coming years. Ejitope Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
Now we're turning our attention to the world of business, where Dominic Iwiwu is standing by.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, leading indigenous and dual-listed energy group, Wando, says it has officially been selected as the preferred bidder for the lease of the Guacaracana Refining Company Limited's refinery assets in Trinidad and Tobago. In a statement released on the Nigerian Stock Exchange's website, the energy group says its subsidiary, Wando Trading, was selected as the preferred bidder for the lease of the Caribbean Refining Company's assets, which was announced by the country's Minister for Energy. In his reaction, the Group Chief Executive Officer of Wando PLC, Mr. Wale Tinubu, says the latest development is expected to strengthen collaboration within the energy sector and also foster increased trade, investment, and knowledge sharing between Africa and the Caribbean region. The domestic equities market reversed to negative territory at the close of today's trading session as investors turned to take profits on some high-value stocks from the local bourse. Ini John Mekwa has a summary of Tuesday's trading activities on the NGX.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, market mover MTN is back in the news. Today, it led the market into the red after just one positive trading session. It lost 10 naira 80 kobo. That's about 4.22% to close at 245 naira. That's for MTN. Look at the sectors and the red spreads all over. Banking lost today. Access, Zenith Bank, those majors, they actually went down. So no surprising that the counter is down 0.21%. Consumer goods is also down because of Nigerian railways. Oil and gas is not different. It's a red market today. O&O led this oil and gas movement. So today the market lost 285 billion naira. So it's a surprise we're still holding on to the 106,000 level and also 66 trillion naira for the market cap. But that's where we are, and the bear is back for the week.
And that's it on business news. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Outside our shores, Ukraine says that it is ready to accept 30-day ceasefire, and the U.S. says the ball is now in the court of Russia. Washington will also immediately restore intelligence sharing and security assistance to Ukraine, and that's according to a joint statement. Hey, Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. 3 men have been killed in the Moscow region of Russia in what is described as the largest drone attack on the Russian capital since the start of the full-scale war in Ukraine. A further 18 people, including 3 children, have been injured, health officials told Russian media. Officials said all 3 men who died had been working in a distribution center when it was hit by drone debris in the village of Yam, near Domodedovo Airport. Dozens of vehicles were destroyed when the drone hit a car park, and the glass of a supermarket was badly damaged. The Russian Defense Ministry say 337 drones were intercepted over Russia, and 91 of them were shot down over the Moscow region. US President Donald Trump says he will double tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium from 25% to 50%. The tariffs are set to be implemented from Wednesday. Mr. Trump says it's in response to Canada signaling it would put a tariff on electricity it sells to the US. The latest escalation comes after Monday was the worst day of 2025 for US markets, fueled by fears of President Donald Trump's aggressive tariffs on America's biggest trading partners. Armed militants in Pakistan's Balochistan region have attacked a train carrying hundreds of passengers and taken a number of hostages. The Baloch Liberation Army fired at the Jafar Express train as it travelled from Quetta to Peshawar. A statement from the separatist group said it had bombed the track before storming the train in remote Sibi district. It claimed the train was under its control. Pakistan police told local reporters at least 3 people, including the train driver, had been injured. A Kurdish-led militia alliance which controls northeastern Syria has signed a deal to integrate all military and civilian institutions into the Syrian state. That's according to the country's president. The agreement, which includes a complete cessation of hostilities, says the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces will hand over control of the region's border ports, airport and vital oil and gas fields. It also recognizes the Kurdish minority as an integral part of the Syrian state and guarantees the rights of all Syrians to representation and participation in the political process.
What is the law and what is the crime that I committed?
Philippine police have arrested the former President Rodrigo Duterte after the International Criminal Court issued a warrant accusing him of crimes against humanity over his deadly war on drugs. The 79-year-old was taken into police custody shortly after his arrival at Manila Airport from Hong Kong on Tuesday. Latest reports from the local media say he is on board a private jet on the airport tarmac. Earlier, his daughter said he was being forcibly sent to The Hague in the Netherlands, where the ICC sits.
Show to me now the legal basis for my being here. As apparently I was brought here not of my own volition. It's somebody else's. Kung hindi ibang tao, ikaw siguro, because this is your structure. So you have to answer now for the deprivation of liberty.
Aerial video footage shows the extent of the damage to the US-registered Stena Immaculate oil tanker and the Portuguese-flagged cargo ship called the Solong. The 2 huge ships collided just off the coast of East Yorkshire. Both boats caught fire after the crash at about 10 a.m. on Monday. The Coast Guard said 36 people were brought ashore, one of whom was hospitalized. Solong's owner, Ernst Russ, later shared that one member of its 14-strong crew was missing. And residents of Greenland are going to the polls in a vote that in previous years has drawn little outside attention, but which may prove pivotal for the Arctic territory's future. US President Donald Trump has repeated his interest in acquiring Greenland, which has put it firmly in the spotlight and fueled long-standing debate on the island's future ties with Copenhagen. Now, 5 out of 6 parties on the ballot favour Greenland's independence from Denmark. Voting on the island ends at 8 p.m. local time on Tuesday. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles head coach Eric Schell has cut down his initial 39 provisional squad to 23 players for this month's 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifying matches against Rwanda and Zimbabwe. The team's #1 goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali and Kayode Bankole made the cut. Defenders William Ekong, Calvin Bassey and Olaino. Midfielders Alex Iwobi, Wilfred Ndidi, and forwards Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, and Simon Moses Sodikumar are all in his final lists of 23 players for the competition. Nigeria will confront Group C leaders Rwanda in Kigali on Friday, March 21st, before taking on Zimbabwe's Warriors at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo 4 days later. The 14th CAF Extraordinary General Assembly set to hold on Wednesday in Cairo, Egypt, with elections to be conducted for the FIFA Executive Council and the CAF Executive Committee. Nigeria's Amaju Kelvin Pinnick, who is seeking to retain his seat as a member of the 37-person FIFA Council, will be up against Moroccan Fawzi Lekjar and Egyptian Hani Abu Rida with 10 persons to battle for the available 5 seats. Africa has 7 seats, so the FIFA Council, with the sitting CAF president's position guaranteed, one of the 7 seats is reserved for a woman. The Champions League gets attention next as Barcelona becomes the first team to qualify for this season's Champions League finals, quarterfinals, with a 3-1 win over Benfica earlier this evening that sealed a 4-1 aggregate victory, leading 1-0 from last week's first leg. Barcelona swept aside Benfica at the Olympic Stadium with 2 goals from Rafinha and another from Lamine Yamal. Also through to the last 8 is Bayern Munich, who progressed 5-0 on aggregate following a 2-0 win against Bayer Leverkusen. Inter is through to the quarterfinals as well, as the Italian side beat Feyenoord 2-1. 4-1 on aggregates. Well, the game, Liverpool and PSG, the big one, is still on. We understand the game is now in extra time, with the game tied at 1-1 on aggregate after 90 minutes. That's sports. Sam Kelly is back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, today reported her suspension from the Senate to the Inter-Parliamentary Union in Geneva, Switzerland. She told the gathering that she won't relent until justice is served. We also told you that ECOWAS has activated its standby force to curb terrorism and other trans-border crimes. And the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has ordered the demolition of all houses on the right-of-way of the ongoing project in Gishiri community of Katankwe district in the nation's capital, Abuja. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful night. Stay safe.